Howdy, Immortalium here. Today I'm reviewing a very well-known manga series called Full Moon by Arina Tanemura. Just before I start reviewing this series, I need to kind of discuss my experience with Arina Tanemura. She's a mangaka, obviously. She draws for a manga magazine called Ribbon in Japan. And she's very well known. She does a lot of series, like a lot of them are short, so she's able to throw them out like no tomorrow. And she's also very popular over in the West. I mean, all of her works basically, except for her most recent ones, have been translated. Now the problem is one of them has been translated by CMX, which is out of print. But overall, she's a very popular mangaka. And my own experience with her, I've read 4 of her series now. Ion, Mistress Fortune. I'm reading Sakura Hime as it's being released. And of course I've just read Full Moon. Full Moon is generally hailed as her best work. Basically it's seen as, the best characters, the best themes and all that jazz. Obviously not the best art, because her art is constantly improving, but it has really good art and all that jazz. But the problem with that, I found, was that it created a sense of expectation, and this is one of those cases where the expectation hurt, my enjoyment of the work. Basically, I enjoyed the work less than I probably should have because of the expectation. So, that's not good. Just before I continue on, I better give a quick summary. Basically, the story is about a girl called Mitsuki, who's 12 years old. She loves to sing and is really good at it too, but the problem is she has a tumor in her throat. I think it was cancer, and she has to make a decision whether to get it, like if the doctor operates and gets rid of the cancer, she'll have to lose her vocal cords, so she won't ever be able to sing again. But she'll die if she doesn't get this operation done. So she has the choice of either living a long life but never being able to sing again, or a short life but being able to sing until her last day. And of course, for a 12-year-old, that's an enormous decision. So that's a great difficulty. Then 2 Shinigami show up from the pediatrics ward. Basically, in this case, what Shinigami are is they're the souls of people who committed suicide in life. And their job now is to take the souls of those who are on this death list thing. So and also they're able to transform into these cute little animals. Probably because they're in the pediatrics ward. There's several characters who are able to do that. I'll go into more detail later. And but they tell her that she has a year to live. So she makes a deal with them. She'll come with them quietly if they allow her for this last year to turn her into a 16-year-old girl to be able to sing. Now, of course, that's turning her into a 16-year-old girl and then turning her back later. But and she becomes an idol and all that jazz, and that's the story. So, what did I think of this series overall? Well, first of all, to talk about the art. The art is lovely, as always, from Arina Tanemura. Arina Tanemura is known for her massive eyes, if you look at that, which a lot of people find creepy, but I love the level of detail and shading in her art. I mean, I find it gorgeous looking artwork. So, I don't find it creepy at all. Let me just see if I can get you a good page. This is kind of a good page. I mean, it's as good as any. Like, I love the level of detail there, the level of shading. The eyes in particular are gorgeous, I think. So, as an artistic piece, and actually, probably Arina Tanemura is one of my favourite mangaka artists. I mean, she creates such lovely looking works, that I can just look at them, for ages. When it comes to this story, though, there are several issues I have with it. Now, we have lots of characters in it, but of course the primary characters are Mitsuki and then the Shinigami. Now, there's actually 4 Shinigami. I said 2 showed up, but 2 show up later. So, the main Shinigami, and basically the male lead in this series, is a guy called Takuto. And he basically he falls in love with her, basically relatively fast, and I kind of find that a bit odd. I mean, for one, she's 12 years old, and he's like, at the very least, he's 18 or something like that. I don't know what age he is, but I find that quite creepy and a little disturbing. Okay, I know he's dead, so I guess it's not like he can get sued for law-thing or anything. It's not like he does anything to her, except he kisses her once or twice. But the problem, I still find that creepy, but more than that, I just don't see how he fell in love with her. I mean, to me, love is two things in a story. Basically, you fall in love with them on first sight, or you know them for a long period of time, and then you fall in love because you fall in love with their personality and all that. And of course, I prefer the, loving over a period of time. But, I guess the other one can work as well because it's kind of like a destiny thing. But in this, he doesn't fall in love with her right away, but it doesn't take him long to fall in love with her. So that's kind of like the worst of both worlds. I mean, I don't see how he fell in love with her, first of all. I mean, like, Mitsuki as a character, actually, I like her as a character because, she at first she's that kind of, oh, I'm so, well, like, she doesn't go, oh, I'm so sweet. Like, it's like, she's so utterly sweet and adorable and all that jazz that to some people it'll be sickening. But she actually has this really dark past, and of course she has that really dark future because of the decisions she's got to make. And that creates a sense of, like, she actually becomes quite aggressive and angry at points and all that jazz. So, I mean, she actually is a very good character. And, but Takuto, I mean, he didn't really work with me, and I didn't really get to like him at all, really. And that, of course, considering that this developing love is, a major part of the story, I've kind of found that to be a big issue. And the other Shinigami, basically, there's Morocco, who, actually, one thing, just before I continue on to Shinigami, is that they're all able to transform. So there's 4 Shinigami, and actually Takuto can transform into this cat, probably because they're in the pediatrics ward. So I'll just, when I describe each Shinigami, I'll just give you their form. So Morocco is the female. She's the working partner of Takuto, and she turns into a rabbit. And she, to me, okay, she was a better character than Takuto, but the problem with her, I think, is that she wasn't much of a character, per se. I mean, we got to find out her past in a later story, and that was nice. But the thing is, basically, she's always saying, I love you, to Takuto, and actually, we find out relatively fast that she's actually in love with someone else, and that she's just trying to, make them jealous. Which to me is very kind of, it seems almost sexist to me. I mean, I'm a woman, so I'll hurt you by saying I love you to someone else. So did I like her? She was a decent character, but I found some issues with her. There's 2 other Shinigami then. So basically those 2 Shinigami, Takuto and Morocco, are the ones that show up at the beginning. The next 2 Shinigami, Izumi and Jonathan, they're very good now. Jonathan, basically, he's the comedic relief. He basically, his form is kind of like this ghostly thing with that top hat. And he's actually very funny, mostly through his actions rather than his words. He just kind of, he's in the background doing random things, and then he just shows up out of nowhere and just starts, talking and, kind of all that jazz. So he's a very funny character, actually, and he's really good for comedic relief. Izumi, though, is very good, actually. He's this kind of dark, kind of, unhappy character. And we get to see how, his past, and we get to see how he developed into this character. So he's actually a really good character. And, it might have worked better if he had, been the romantic partner of Mitsuki, maybe. I don't know. There's a lot of other good characters as well. There's Madoka, who's, a competing idol. There's her pig, Gutchan, which she doesn't really want, but, she has because it's expected of an idol to have a cute pet. There's the doctor, Dr. Wakauji, who, is the guy who will have to operate on Mitsuki if she decides to have the operation. And there's all these other great characters as well. But basically, I would have to say that my biggest flaw, the biggest fault of this series, in my opinion, was the leading love story. And of course, considering it's a shoujo, that's like the most important love story in all. Like, it's the most important plot thread in all of this, and that can be a major issue. So for me, that was a major issue for me. So, did I like this series? Yeah, I mean, I'm happy as a fan of Arina Tanemura to have read it, and I did enjoy it. It just, in a shoujo series where I can't believe in the love of, the lead two characters, that's kind of, ruins it a little. So, I really like the other characters, I really like the other stories, but I just couldn't believe the lead two characters' love, and of course that definitely knocked it down a notch. So yeah, that's kind of my review of Full Moon. I mean, do I still recommend it? Yeah, and obviously other people believe in the love because it's hailed as Arina Tanemura's best work. Lots of other people say this is like one of the best manga that they've read. But I guess it's up to you to decide. I guess like the love thing doesn't really start showing up until volume 2. So if you want to test this series out, I'd say at least get the first 2 volumes, read them, and see if it does anything for you, and then you can continue on if it does. But as a fan of Arina Tanemura, I got all this, and yeah, I liked it all, but the love arc, I mean, it just didn't really do anything for me. So yeah. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and bye bye.